which is fine because I just come back. We'll wait a minute here for people to rejoin the live. But that's being a whistleblower is they try to block your ability to talk to people, because basically what I'm doing is educating people, educating the masses on energy and how energy works, and there's nothing but energy in this world. And so we're talking about the justice in the justice system, and then also the spiritual justice of everything. So welcome back everybody who might have gotten cut off on the last live. But I'll try to keep it short, and you can always go back and watch the lives. And if you're a member, you can go back and watch the lives all the way from the very beginning. Okay, so where we were at about where did the drugs come from, or who's ultimately responsible for Aaron Carter's death? Was it ATM Richie? Was it the person who paid ATM Richie? Was it the drugs that ultimately took his life away? Or what? Now with Matthew Perry, they found him in a whirlpool, in a hot tub. So who knows how long his body was in there. But what did we learn from Aaron Carter's death? They had the jets running. The water was warm. They were soaking his body in what Check the Star refers to as chicken noodle soup money, right? So they let his body in there to dilute the toxicology reports, because they knew that they could sue Walgreens and the doctors for wrongful death if they watered down the toxicology reports, because pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered, right? They just were not expecting for Aaron's file to be audited by a whistleblower that's holding everybody accountable. So if Melanie benefited from Aaron Carter's estate, why is she filing for bankruptcy? That's her karma. When she files for bankruptcy, we find out that she's collecting Social Security money. And what's her disability? Because she owns two companies. She owns the makeup company, she owns the clothing company, and she's selling Aaron's personal items on Etsy or Poshmark or eBay, okay? So she's got all this income coming in, but she wants more, okay? Because she's a hog. And where does she get that ammunition from? Well, she gets it from the people who are backing her, which is people like Lori Knight, who's the ultimate rainbow pig. So basically, it's up to the collective to speak. What I'm saying is the power's in the present moment, okay? And we can't go around and speaking our truth and worry about how it makes other people feel, okay? For many, many years, I had federal court orders against me where I couldn't mention the name Quinn Frazier or Drinker, Biddle, and Reith, which is an international law firm he's a partner in an international law firm where his actions came in, okay, where my father's company was valued at $500 million back in 2004, okay, and he came in and hijacked the company and put himself in charge of all the corporate paperwork and took my inheritance, took my little sister's inheritance, and basically dismantled the company because he wanted his greedy little fingers on that money. He came in, he did that, he's responsible, his law firm's responsible for it. So, of course, now that he's under investigation, he wants to point the finger somewhere else and put the blame somewhere else. But the evidence shows and the paperwork shows that it was all him, okay? It was all on him. Ultimately, him and his fancy law firm is responsible for almost $1 billion worth of losses. And I do believe at some point that he'll have to repay not only me, my younger sister, but my other siblings for destroying a company that is 70 years old. Now, as far as Aaron Carter goes, the justice will come in several ways, okay? It'll come in with the brothers' concerts being canceled. It's like, well, how do you feel? How do you think Aaron felt? Aaron, even if 20 people showed up to one of Aaron's concerts, he got up and he performed, okay? This is the actions of an earth angel, okay? Aaron handled his situation with poise and with grace, okay? And we can't worry about how Lori Knight's gonna feel about her having to accept her karma. What they're seeking is revenge. Like when they seek revenge on me by reporting my channels or my work or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Listen, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. There's too many paper copies that have been purchased. Walgreens has been contacted. The feds have been involved. You're just not telling people about what your ramifications are. You just want to keep throwing the brother out there like he's some great guy when he's creepy. Okay? And so justice is going to come in many forms. And again, the better justice is to allow the karma to play out. Okay? Because it's playing out. Melanie's getting caught for fraud left and right, okay? Left and right, left and right, left and right. So if she's being a fraud in one area of her life, she's a fraud in many areas of her life. It just can't be hidden, okay? You can't go around and say that Prance, okay, or Pronston looks like Aaron. The DNA doesn't match, hun, okay? And the feds have that information. So now what happens is when people find out that Prance is a product of Taylor and Melonia from Bologna, okay, and then the motive for the murder for hire becomes that much more real. So you want to think of Louis, Lake Street Loser, and Melonia from Bologna as Bonnie and Clyde, okay, because they think that they're smarter than the collective. They think that they're smarter than everybody else. But if the drugs that ultimately killed Aaron came from Lake Street Loser, okay, if he was the source, ultimately, will he be held accountable? Why do you want Walgreens to be held accountable or the doctors to be held accountable for what, for something that they're not accountable for? You know what I'm saying? It's like all this paperwork or whatever. It's because it's an inside job. Now they can't rely on Los Angeles Sheriff's Department because they know that they're under investigation, and ultimately that homicide detective, and it could take years, okay, because that's the thing, is the universe has to teach you patience for him to be held accountable for his part in it too. There's just so many people that were involved in Aaron's murder that it's a RICO act, okay? It's multiple people on multiple levels. But just know that when you're speaking your truth, like Aaron was speaking his truth and they made him pay for it dearly with his life, that's an injustice and that's what you're feeling, okay? But we cannot be held responsible or accountable for the way people feel. Like, I could care less that Melonia from Bologna doesn't like the fact that I call her out that she's a fraudulent person. She just is. And you can't be in the United States defrauding the United States with what you're doing. You don't belong here doing that. She's a scam artist, okay? And they use the whole family to broadcast their lies. But I'm telling you right now, it's going to play out the way that we feel as though that it'll play out. Ultimately, will Lori Knight be the person being held responsible for Aaron Carter's murder? I think that it's going to be multiple people, and I think that people are going to be caught up in their web of lies, and that's the way that they're going to get caught. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they'll get Melanie on perjury, and they'll get Louis on drug trafficking, and, you know, obviously, hold on one second. Hold on. So sad you lost your mind. I hope you get the help you needed. But see, that's how, okay, Melanie, that's how Melanie and the smear campaign and the trolls and all of that, That's how they want to make me feel. But the reality is ATM Richie is sitting in jail, okay? And ultimately, the karma is playing out. People don't want to go pay to see Sick Carter up on a stage. They just don't want to do it. He doesn't really want to sing. He just wants to cherry pick the virgins in the meet and greet crowd, okay? That's why he was crying. So, doesn't bother me none. I'm not going to be held responsible for the way that you feel. I'm just not going to be, you know? What happened to Katie? What happened to Katie was Katie didn't want to be on lives anymore because her family was being harassed because of her exposing the bra that Nick Carter signed. And she felt as though her and her family as a collective that they were being harassed and that they just didn't need that. And she also was pursuing a career in AI programming, which was going to make her way more money than her being on live. So I hope that works out for her. She wanted to get a paying job because doing this doesn't pay the bills, trust me. The only reason why I'm speaking out is because I can. I'm not profiting millions of dollars off of talking about Aaron Carter's death. The only reason why I'm talking about Aaron Carter's death is because I can, and because the whole point of it is to clear Aaron's name. That's justice for Aaron. As soon as Aaron's name is cleared that he didn't unalive himself and he didn't overdose, and that the people that are responsible for his death are actually prosecuted and processed, then my part in his case and his life is over. It's just about exposing the corruption and making sure that everybody who played a part is being held accountable for it. They just weren't expecting, StellaRoseAllDay, but I'm the one that audited his file, and so I'm the one that's in charge with the authority to whistleblow on his case. And I'm going to be doing it, just like I did it for my own case. And I truly believe that speaking in your power, you shouldn't have revenge on you. And I certainly don't feel bad at all for doing what I'm doing. And I'm just going to keep doing it. I don't feel bad at all. I know what the truth is, and I feel very blessed that YouTube sponsors my channel, okay, and allows us to go on here and discuss the things that we want to talk about, because it's important. Aaron had a lot of fans and a lot of people that supported him. You know, it's unfortunate what happened, and it was very tragic and traumatizing what they did to him. And then reward toxic behavior through media, you know? So hopefully, people will feel satisfied at some point with the outcome, but there's more to come. It's not over yet, just one person's in custody, but there's many more. And like I said, the spiritual justice is the better justice. Seeing that, Nick Carter's concerts have been canceled and that people are writing articles about why they canceled the concerts, that's the chef's kiss, okay? That's the chef's kiss. Yeah, you have to dig for the little gold nuggets here and there, but they're there. And knowing that the Backstreet Boys won't be able to make a comeback with him is another victory, right? I don't think the other three boys should have to suffer for what Nick Carter did. And AJ seems to always be on Nick's side, and it goes back to that 1997 article that was written in the National Enquirer that he may have been a witness to Molly Golightly and Nick and the 15-year-old. Okay, so what will ultimately happen is that, he'll be ultimately shamed for his actions, and his lifestyle will be greatly diminished. And that's his punishment. That's his punishment. It's, people, I'm not going to feel responsible for the way that Melonia from Bologna or Lake Street Loser feel about being exposed. I could care less. I'm just going to go about my day, drinking my coffee and doing my thing. And I don't care about the way that they feel because I care about the way that Erin felt.